Hello, lovely soul, and welcome to One. Let's talk. Let me start us off with this question. Who's controlling who? Are you telling your mind what to think? Or is your mind bossing you around? Listen, if you feel like you are not in control of your life, you feel like things are just happening to you, that you're in the passenger seat, that your manifestations are not coming, they're moving so slowly, or maybe they're not even moving at all, or that your life is falling apart, then this message is for you. Because in today's episode, I want to help you remember just how powerful you really are. I want to remind you of your power and that your circumstances are not set in stone. But first, hello, my name is Patil, and I want to help you take your power back by freeing your mind and healing your heart. Are you familiar with tarot? Have you had a reading before? Do you know what the cards look like? Because I want to talk about this one specific card that is very much related to today's conversation. It's very fitting, and it's the Chariot Tarot card. Now, this is a major arcana, and it's associated with the water babies. I call them water babies because they're the first of the 3 water signs: Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So, the Chariot card is connected to Cancer, and Cancer happens to be the mother of the zodiac. For those of you who don't know what the Chariot card is, picture this with me. It's basically a chariot, so it's a vehicle that's being pulled by 2 horses. Now, depending on the deck that you're using, instead of 2 horses, you may get 2 sphinxes, one on each side. And sphinxes are creatures with the head of a man and the body of a lion. It really depends on the deck that you're using. You're going to get different designs based on the illustrators of these drawings. But for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and say that you have 2 horses that are pulling the chariot. This is a very powerful card. The energy of this card is very powerful. First of all, because this is a major arcana. And secondly, because this card is all about forward movement. It is all about momentum, all about consistency. And here's how I see it. The person in control of the chariot represents you. That is you. It's consciousness, let's say. It's the I am. That's really you. It's your spiritual essence, your divine nature. And then you have the 2 horses that represent your mind and the thoughts that your mind produces. So let me ask you this. Who do you think should be in charge of the chariot? The person or the horses? Who do you think is more qualified to drive this chariot to where it needs to go, to take it to any destination? You or the horses? Robin Sharma, hopefully I did not butcher the pronunciation, who happens to be the author of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, says something very interesting about the mind. He says that the mind is an excellent servant, but a terrible master. And that is 1,000,000% true. This is what happens. When you've given all control to your mind, you've given the steering wheel to the mind. You've given all decision-making basically to the mind. And you yourself are completely unaware of what's happening around you, of what's going on within you, then congratulations. You just created a recipe for disaster. Because your mind, the mind that is on autopilot, the mind that is still programmed, has all kinds of programmed thoughts, limiting beliefs in it. So I'm not talking about the conscious mind. I'm talking about a mind that is not yet conscious. That mind is going to give you all kinds of false, negative messages. So, fun fact about the mind, it is not designed to make you happy. It is designed to keep you safe. So if you're waiting for your mind to produce happy, quote-unquote, thoughts for you, you're going to be waiting forever. That's just not going to happen. Because your mind is always looking for threats to overcome and problems to solve. Just like your lungs, they're always looking for oxygen. So the point that I'm trying to make is this. If you are letting your mind run the show for you, instead of you yourself taking control, you telling your mind what to think, you choosing the thoughts that you want to think, then you're in it for a bumpy ride. Let me give you an example. Say that you lost your job. Your mind is not going to tell you, hey, it's okay, sweetheart. I still love you. Amazing things are coming your way. You're still wonderful. No. What your mind is going to tell you instead is things like these. You lost your job, right? Great. You're going to go broke. You're going to be homeless. You will never amount to anything. How are you going to pay your bills? When will you learn? You always do this. You're worthless. And at this point, what happens is that your thoughts pick up a lot of momentum and you find yourself on a downward spiral. This is when it becomes quite difficult for you to stop yourself, right? It almost feels like your thoughts have a mind of their own. Just like those two horses, they are running at full speed. There's really no stopping them. Similarly, your thoughts, they're spiraling out of control, and the only way for you to stop the chariot from moving at this point is to let it crash. Because you're so in it. You are completely caught up in the process. You are completely immersed in this negative inner dialogue of yours. And there's really no stopping you at this point. If you're listening to this episode, then I'm 100% confident that you know what I'm talking about. That you yourself have experienced a version of this in your life. Now, I want to share with you a personal experience, something personal about my life, to show you that this is what happens when your mind is on autopilot. And also to tell you that when you first want to take back your power, you want to be in charge of the chariot, you want to take your control back from the horses, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. You may be met with some kind of resistance. You may find it difficult to do that. It's not difficult. It's a little bit tricky because you've never done that before. Because the whole idea, the whole practice is new for you. So it's only natural for you to want to give up, to want to be a victim of your thoughts yet again, and to feel like you cannot change your circumstances. But that is very far from the truth. There's a first time for everything. So, something about my family. My dad and my dad's side, my uncles basically, because my dad has two brothers, they like to do things together as a family. So they like to do things collectively. They're big on Christmas dinners, Easter celebrations, and, all kinds of family get-togethers. And for as long as I can remember, me and my sister, Laura, we always used to go with my mom and dad. We always used to go to these events and, be part of these family reunions, family sessions, family get-togethers. If I'm being honest with you, I didn't want to go. 99% of the time, I remember having this internal struggle of not wanting to go, but at the same time not wanting to disappoint my parents. Because I never really meshed well with my relatives. I didn't get along with my extended family. And I didn't want to be part of these events because from a very young age, I was, looked at very differently. I felt like I was the odd one out, like I was the black sheep of the family. I didn't feel integrated. I didn't feel like the people around me cared for me. They loved me. And I just didn't want to be part of this atmosphere. I never felt like I belonged. And for a very long time, I had a lot of bitterness and resentment toward them. You could say I hated them, and I wanted nothing to do with them. I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to hang with them, nothing. Now I'm okay with it. I've realized that we're just two people that don't necessarily mesh well together, like oil and water. They don't mix, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But that resentment and the bitterness that I carried with me, years and years of anger that I had toward them, I needed to transmute that. So, like I said, I used to go with mom and dad because I did not want to hurt their feelings. I used to be a people pleaser. And I remember this one time I stood up to my dad. And this was about a decade ago, by the way, just to tell you how old of a story this is. And I said to my dad, no. This is how the whole thing played out. I was like, Dad, listen, I don't want to go. I am not having fun on these family get-togethers. I don't really enjoy their company, and I just don't want to go. Please don't take this as me not loving you or not respecting you. Don't explain it that way. I just really don't want to go. I don't want to take one for the team. And oh my goodness, I was so focused on my dad's facial expressions and his body language, and everything just changed. It almost felt like my dad was disappointed in me. And I could see that he was clearly upset. He didn't say anything, but I could just, pick up vibrationally, and I could just see in front of me that he was not okay. And oh my goodness, in that moment, I was bombarded with all kinds of negative thoughts. This was my inner dialogue at the time. Patty, no. What did you just do? Why did you do this? Can't you see you just hurt your dad's feelings? Look at him. He's so sad. He's upset with you. You disappointed him. You are a disappointment. And I felt really bad. I felt really, really guilty. Like I said, I used to be a people pleaser, and I just didn't want to hurt my dad's feelings. And the minute that I said no and I stood up for myself, and I wanted to speak my truth, and I wanted to set personal boundaries for me, the repercussions basically bit me in the derriere. Now, within brackets, I do want to say that this is a form of emotional manipulation that some parents consciously or unconsciously do. And no, this is not me blaming parents, by the way. I'm just calling it as I'm seeing it, naming the facts. So that was my example. An example to show you that my thoughts were behind the wheel, my consciousness had completely left the building, and I was taken hostage by my thoughts, by these negative programmed messages, these limiting beliefs that I'm not a good person, that I'm a disappointment, I'm a burden, that I'm this, and that. And usually this is what happens with every single one of us when we don't bring awareness into the mix. We fall prey to our thoughts. We believe our thoughts. Now, I'm not saying that if something happens out of the blue and you react a certain way, or you just react, period, that you have to be hard on yourself. No. This is life at the end of the day. Sometimes things happen that we're not necessarily prepared for. And we may, at first, react a certain way. That's okay. For example, if you lost your job without a clear warning, without a clear heads up, or maybe that your partner broke up with you randomly out of thin air, or that a family member got sick, or that somebody that you care for passed away. When these things happen and you react a certain way, that's fine at first. Give yourself a little grace. Be kind with yourself. That's fine. But then what? See, here's the good news. Even in these circumstances, the examples that I just mentioned, even in those circumstances, you are not powerless. You created these circumstances with your thoughts, or at least you created the conditions to attract these circumstances into your life. And guess what? If you attracted them into your life, if you created them with your thoughts, then you can absolutely create something else. You can create something different, something that you want. But that's a talk for another time. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you have a choice. Fine, react at first. That's okay. But then take your power back. Are you just going to let your thoughts run wild and run the show for you? Who's going to be in control of your thoughts? Who's deciding what thoughts to think? Your mind or you? The consciousness that is really you. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You are not your mind. You are what's operating them. You are the consciousness or the I am that's behind everything. You know, this reminds me of René Descartes, the 18th century French philosopher, I believe. who says something very famous. I'm sure you've heard of it. He says, I think, therefore I am. Wrong. I would say I am, therefore I think. So you always have a choice. You are the determining factor. Nothing happens without your say-so. Nothing. So, what's it gonna be? Think about it. Thank you for listening. That'll be all for today. I do want to say that these are my thoughts. If they resonate with you, great, they're your messages. If not, let them go with love. If you're interested in working with me and you feel called to sign up for coaching with me, then I am offering 3 different types of coaching right now. You have email coaching with me. I love this package a lot because you get to send me an unlimited number of emails for a month. I know that a lot of people express themselves better in writing, so you have that option. You can also go with phone calls with me once a week or twice a week, depending on your preferences. You can even sign up for a singular session with me. An immersive, extensive session so that we can see what the subject is, how we can best approach it, how we can heal it, and how we can free yourself from it. Before I go, I do want to say that you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like content like this, content that's around spirituality, empowerment, alchemy, manifestation, because my approach is holistic. And this is the final thing that I want to leave you with. Who do you want to call the shots in your life? On your healing journey, on your manifestation journey? You or your mind? Do you want to tell your mind what to think? Or do you want your mind to turn out the same old negative, limiting thoughts for you? There is no wrong answer. Just one that's going to make you happy and move you closer to your freedom, and one that's going to keep you in misery. It's up to you. As always, you are in it, but you've already won. Till next time.